Susan Powell, the disappearance, the murders, and the 911 call that came too late. When Susan Powell vanished in 2009, her husband claimed he had taken their young sons camping, in the middle of a snowstorm, at midnight. There was no trace of her then, and there never would be. But that was only the beginning. What happened 2 years later was even more horrifying. Because by then, the monster hadn't just gotten away. He opened the door, smiled at a social worker, and moments later, set the house on fire with his 2 sons inside. This is the story of Susan Powell, the woman who vanished, and the warning signs that were missed, until it was too late. December 6, 2009. West Valley City, Utah. Susan Powell, 28 years old, was a mother of 2. Bright, loving, and deeply religious. She had a stable job, 2 beautiful sons, Charlie and Braden, and a seemingly normal life. But her marriage to Josh Powell was far from normal. Friends and family say Susan was afraid of Josh. That Sunday morning she missed work. Her daycare provider reported that neither Susan nor the kids had shown up. Police were called for a welfare check. When they entered the house, something was off. 2 box fans were blowing on a wet spot on the carpet. Her purse, phone, and keys were inside. But Susan was gone. Josh returned home later that day. Oddly calm. He claimed he had taken his boys on a spontaneous camping trip, at 12:30 a.m., in a snowstorm, on a Sunday night. No one bought the story. But there was no body. No evidence. No confession. Police began to dig deeper into Josh's life. They found controlling behavior, financial stress, and chilling journal entries from Susan. She had written, "If I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one." Still, Josh wasn't charged. And then it got even darker. Police discovered that Josh's father, Stephen Powell, had a disturbing obsession with Susan. He filmed her without her knowledge, stole her underwear, kept hundreds of images of her in secret folders. Stephen was arrested and sentenced. But still, no charges for Josh. No trace of Susan. And Josh still had custody of his sons. February 5, 2012. 2 years after Susan vanished. A supervised visit was scheduled. Josh was only allowed to see his sons under court-ordered supervision. A social worker, Elizabeth Griffin Hall, arrived with the boys at Josh's rented home in Washington State. As soon as the boys ran up to the door, Josh pulled them inside and slammed it shut in her face. She knocked, screamed, called 911, again and again. But the operator treated it like a custody issue, not an emergency. The social worker kept pleading. "He's got the boys and he won't let me in. I smell gasoline. Please hurry." By the time police arrived, it was over. Josh had bludgeoned his sons with a hatchet, and then ignited the house with all 3 inside. The Powell family was shattered. Susan was never found. Her sons were murdered. Her husband took the truth to the grave. But questions remain. Could it have been prevented? Were the red flags ignored? The 911 calls, now public, haunt listeners. Not just for what was said, but for how little was done. Today, the case is often cited as a devastating failure of the system, a warning about domestic abuse, custody laws, and procedural incompetence. But most of all, it is a reminder. Sometimes the greatest danger is the one we already let inside. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep-dive true crime stories, where justice is sought in the shadows. This was Justice in Shadow. Until next time.